Welcome to Book and Bujo. I'm Debbie, and welcome or welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. Today we are going to find out how I am doing on my rfantasy bingo card. So I will pop up the bingo card here so you can see where I'm at and all of the prompts and everything. So you may have seen back in March when I originally posted my TBR for the rfantasy bingo challenge. Let's see how I'm doing so far. So what is the rfantasy bingo challenge, you may be asking? It's a year-long reading challenge that goes from the beginning of April to the end of March the following year. It started April 1st, 2023 and will end March 30th, 2024 for this year's challenge. So there's 25 prompts on the bingo card, and each year they rotate through different prompts. So you get some new prompts every year. The rfantasy bingo challenge is hosted by Reddit every year. If you visit Reddit, you will be able to find recommendations for all of the prompts that are on the bingo card. The 25 different prompts are there to help get you out of your comfort zone and get you to read some new books and maybe some new authors that you may not have thought to pick up before. The books can be fantasy, sci-fi, or from the horror genre, so basically some type of a speculative fiction. So one of the rules though is you can only read one author for a prompt. So if you pick Robert Jordan for one prompt, you cannot use another Robert Jordan book for any of the other prompts, which again helps keep you finding new authors to read. There's 3 different modes for this challenge. So first is just the normal mode. You take the prompts and just do them as it is, and there you go. And then there is the hard mode. So you take the normal prompts and then there's an additional prompt that go along with it to make it more challenging. And then finally there's the hero mode, and I believe you can do hero mode with either the normal or the hard mode. Basically hero mode, you just need to review all of the books that you read for each prompt. So personally, big shocker, I'm doing hard mode as well as hero mode because I typically review all of the books that I read on Goodreads as well as here on Book and Bujo, my YouTube channel, and you can find the link to my Goodreads and my Instagram down in the comments if you want to check them out. Like I said a little bit earlier, they do have recommendations for all of the prompts, all 25 prompts for normal mode and for the hard mode on Reddit. So if you want to check those out and find some book options that you can read for each of the prompts, it makes it just a little bit easier for you so you don't have to figure them all out on your own. And you can also see what other people are reading. Let's go through all of my books that I've read so far and the ones I still have left to do. Prompt number 1 is a title with a title. So the title can be like king or queen or prince or princess, you know, that kind of a thing. But for hard mode, it can't be royalty. And so I chose A Master of Gin by P. Jelly Clark because a master is a title. And so I did complete the regular and the hard mode and hero mode because I have reviewed that one already. Prompt number 2 is superheroes. And for the hard mode, it cannot be DC or Marvel. And this one I am planning on reading Vicious by Victoria Schwab, but I have not yet gotten to that. If you have any other recommendations, I would love to hear what they are. I've read The Reckoners by Brandon Sanderson, and or Steelheart, the first book. So I was thinking maybe I could read the second book, but my library doesn't have the audiobook anymore. So I'll have to see if my library has the physical book and see maybe if I could read that one. So one of those two. All right, so the third prompt is bottom of TBR. And there actually is no hard mode for this one because they figure that this is hard enough on its own because it's apparently a book you've been putting off. And it's always kind of at the but you want to read it, but you never quite get to it. And for that, I actually read A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. That completes the hard mode, and I have done my review. Prompt number 4 is magical realism. And the hard mode is not one of the 30 books on the list that they have on Reddit. And for that, I did read The Witches of New York by Amy McKay. And I have completed normal, hard, and hero mode for that one. Okay, book number 5 is a young adult book, and that on its own is really easy because there's a lot of YAs out there. But the hard mode is, it has to have been published in the last 5 years, so between 2019 to 2023. I actually have quite a few books that I could put on there, but I chose The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare, but I could also choose Chain of Gold, Chain of Iron, Chain of Thorns, because I've read all 3 of those, and those were all released in the last 5 years as well, and they are YA. So Cassandra Clare, and I have done my normal, my hard, and my hero for that one. So prompt number 6 is one I have not gotten to yet, and that is Mundane Jobs. And then the hard mode is, it doesn't take place on Earth. So my plan is to read Ascendant, which is actually on my TBR for November, so I should be able to get that one done, but the other option would be Memoirs of Lady Trent. And I also read Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, and he is a painter, and that is kind of a mundane job, but not necessarily how they do it. So if for some reason I don't get to any of the other books, I could use that one, but I think that one would be cheating just a little bit, so we'll see. Right now I'm planning on using Ascendant by Michael R. Miller. Prompt number 7, published in the 2000s, and it cannot be on the top 30 best list from the 2000s either for hard mode, and that I chose Inkheart by Cornelia Funke, and that is the first book in the Ink World series, and I did complete normal, hard, and hero for that one. Okay, number 8 is Angels and Demons, and the hard mode is the angel or the demon has to be the protagonist. So I have completed the normal mode of this with Linden Falls by Joshua Hershey, but the protagonist is not an angel or a demon. I would say there's actually multiple main characters in this book, but really, I mean, there's really the one girl, but there are a couple others that you could say are main characters, and one is an angel, one is a demon. So I could flub it a bit if I wanted to, but I'm gonna wait and see. There are a couple other books that I'm looking at that may work that isn't Neil Gaiman, Good Omens. Not that I don't want to read that book, but I want to broaden my horizons and find some different books. So if you have a recommendation for me, leave it down in the comments. Prompt number 9 is 5 short stories. The hard mode is an entire sci-fi fantasy anthology or collection. And this one I did do, and I read The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo, and I did the normal and hard mode for this one. I still need to get my review written and posted, but I will have that one done by the end of the month. All right, prompt number 10 is a horror book, and for hard mode it cannot be by Stephen King or H.P. Lovecraft, which is just fine because one of my favorite horror authors is actually Brom, and I read Slewfoot. And that one I did completed the normal and the hard mode, and again, by the end of the month, I will have my review posted. Prompt number 11 is a self-published or indie-published book. And for the hard mode, they have to have less than 100 ratings on Goodreads. And for that, I read Quiet Thunder by J.P. Harker. And that I did do the normal, hard, and hero mode for. Prompt number 12, set in the Middle East. And for hard mode, the author is from Middle Eastern heritage. I could have used A Master of Jinn by P. Shelley Clark if I wanted to, and I may be able to put a different book in under a title and use it for this prompt if I need to, but I still have high hopes that I will get to either Gunmetal Gods or Stardust Thief or We Hunt the Flame, because I really want to read all 3 of those books. And I actually own one. I have one as an Amazon borrow, and the other one I can get as an audiobook from my library, so they're all just waiting for me to actually read them. So that one I should be able to do by the end of the challenge period. All right, prompt number 13, published in 2023, and for the hard mode, it's a debut novel. And for that, I read Wayward by Amelia Hart, and normal, hard, and hero mode done. 14, Multiverses. The hard mode is not a literal door to get into another world. And for that, I read Pure Nessie by Susanna Clark, and normal, hard, and hero done. Prompt number 15, a POC author. Hard mode takes place in a futuristic sci-fi world, and this one for me was pretty easy. It was Home, which is the second book in the Binti series by Nnedi Okorafor. and I really enjoy that series, and they're actually fairly short. So I was really glad to be able to get into the next book in the series for that. And normal, hard, and hero, done. Prompt number 16, a book club or read-along book. And I have many of those that I've been reading throughout the year. But the hard mode is a current Reddit book club or read-along book and participate in the discussion. And for that, I read A Spice Road, and that is by Myra Ibrahim. And that one, normal, hard, and hero mode, done. Prompt number 17, read a novella. For hard mode, not published by Tor.com. And that was fairly easy for me because this one is a self-published novella, and that is The Exile by Ryan Cahill. Normal, hard, and hero, done. Prompt number 18, mythical beasts. The hard mode is not a dragon or dragon-like creature, so it can't be like dragons or wyverns or anything like that. I am currently 35% of the way through A Touch of Light by Tiago Abdallah, and I should have that done by the end of November. Prompt number 19, elemental magic. And hard mode is not by V.E. Schwab or Jim Butcher. And again, that wasn't too hard because there are a few out there that are really good that have elemental magic in it. And for this one, I read The Bone Shard Emperor, which is the second book in the Drowning Empire series, and that is by Andrea Stewart. And normal, hard, and hero, done. Prompt number 20, a myth or retelling. And hard mode is not Roman or Greek mythology, which does take out quite a few books, but there are still a whole lot more left. And I decided to go with the Norse mythology route, which I am loving right now. I'm loving Norse mythology. And I read Witches by Edna Walters. Normal, hard, and hero, done. All right, 21, queer norm setting. And the hard mode is not a futuristic setting and no sci-fi elements. So I have a few recommendations that I was given for this one, but I would love to hear your thoughts as well, or if you've read any of these recommendations, let me know if they're worth it. So one of them is The Memory of Souls, which is the third book in the Chorus of Dragons series by Jen Lyons. The other recommendation is The Thousand Eyes, which is the second book in the Serpent Gates by A.K. Larkwood, and I have read the first book, so I should be able to get to that second book. But I think the one I'm most interested in is Pet, which is the first book in the Pet series, and that is by Kweke Emezi. I'll most likely read either Pet or A Thousand Eyes, because for Memory of Souls, I've only read the first book in the Course of Dragons series, so I'd have to read the second and third book to get to that one, and that might be a little too much on my TBR, so I'll probably go with one of the other two. But if you have recommendations, let me know down in the comments. I would love to take a look at those too. Okay, we're almost done. Prompt number 22, a coastal setting, and the hard mode is features seafaring. And I'm counting this one. They don't actually sail in water, but it's still seafaring. They still kind of call it seafaring, call themselves pirates and all of that fun stuff, and that is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, and that was the first secret project of his from 2020. And I do have normal, hard, and hero mode done. Okay, prompt 23. This is another one that I am still looking for books on. If this challenge had started a little sooner, I could have taken one of the Edna Walters books from the Runes series, because there are druids in there that are part of the main characters, but I read those all before this challenge started, so that was a bummer. So the hard mode is not from the Iron Druids series, and so I found a couple that could work, but I would still love your recommendations. And one of them is Enemy of God, which is the second book in the Warlord Chronicles, and the other one is The Druid Path. Either of those could work. I found some others, but they're more in like the nonfiction or more contemporary. They don't fit like that fantasy sci-fi horror genre. So if you have recommendations, I would love to hear them. Prompt number 24 features robots, and as the hard mode, the robot is the protagonist, and that was fairly easy for me. There's a couple books I wanted to read, and of course the Monk and Robot series. I had already read the first book, but the second book I could have read that one, and that is by Becky Chambers. But I ended up going with my second choice, The Clara and the Sun by Kazu Ishiguro. And then last but not least, prompt number 25 is to read a sequel. Hard mode is book 3 or higher in a sci-fi fantasy series, and for that I read Midnight Tide by Stephen Erickson, which is the 3rd book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. For both of those and Trust the Emerald Sea, we have normal, hard, and hero mode done. But one of the other interesting rules for this is only one of the books can be a reread. So you have to read new books, because again, this is about expanding your horizons, finding new authors and new books that you will enjoy, or at least give something a try. So only one reread is allowed. So this is what I have so far. And again, if you have any suggestions for the prompts I have not completed yet, I would love to hear what they are. So please leave those down in the comments. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Please comment and subscribe if you wanna, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other videos from me. And until next time, keep reading. Bye!